Hello, welcome to another edition of the More Help Podcast. Today we're going to be interviewing Mr. Denard Darnell Neal. Before we cut to his interview, just want to say you should be seeing more podcasts coming up, more podcast interviews coming up as we continue to spread the word. If you know anyone out there that you feel like be good or interested in sharing their story with the world, please go to the website listed on the screen and submit a message. Also, Mr. Neal's interview was conducted over about 3 different calls, just due to different circumstances, but we got it done and I'm happy we did. Okay, so here is Mr. Denard Darnell Neal's interview bio. My name is Denard Darnell Neal. I was born in Chicago, Illinois on October 15th, 1962. I am the 4th boy and I have 2 younger sisters and 3 older brothers. I have 3 counts of bank robbery and 3 counts of firearm use during the commission of a crime. I went to trial and was sentenced to 35 years originally, and then 4 years after my original sentence, the court conducted a second sentencing hearing without me, giving me an additional 20 years without me knowing about the sentence or being present in court. Again, in 1996, 6 years after I was sentenced, in 1991, the court conducted another sentencing hearing and reimposed the second 20 years. I am in court with a Rule 27 challenging the court official record as a means to correct my sentence. I am also in court in the Court of Appeals for the 4th Circuit under 2241, challenging the execution of my sentence under the fact that the district court, working in conjunction with the U.S. attorney that prosecuted me, did so illegally by writing secret bonds on me and selling the bonds on Wall Street to the Corporations Pimco and Fidelity, who are now marketing the bonds on me right now in violation of the 13th Amendment, which prohibits slavery in the United States of America. The fact that bonds were created in my identity before I was convicted of any crime give rise to human trafficking by the United States Department of Justice via the U.S. Attorney Office in Phoenix, Arizona. My family has served the bonds on the United States District Court in Phoenix, Arizona, and the court kept the bonds and sealed the case in an attempt to cover up the truth. The United States District Court, Western District of California, returned the bonds. The Office of the Attorney General of the United States at the Department of Justice was also served a copy of the bonds and refused to discharge my case, as well as the Office of the Secretary of the Treasury. When I was first arrested, I was dumb and negative toward the legal system, and I was mad as I knew that something was wrong. I just did not know what was wrong. I have grown both in the mind and spirit, and now understand myself and the crime in the criminal justice system that is nothing but a system designed to create and control, a control system of slavery that is not only endorsed by the federal courts, but supported by the federal courts. If I had to tell young Black men and women anything, it would be this: get an education and learn as much as possible and make plans to leave this country, as we as people are not loved or wanted in this country. The cop killings are not accident, and they are in fact death squad actions by all, which mean the killings are backed by the government. Okay, so that is Mr. Neal's bio that he sent me, and so now we'll go ahead and jump into the interview, and I hope you find this information useful, and hopefully the right people can hear to help Mr. Neal on his fight for justice. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing
all right?
I'm doing pretty good, and yourself?
I'm all right. Send my love to your father for me, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can we go ahead and get into it?
Yes, we can get started. All right.
Okay. I'm waiting on you.
Okay.
Fire away.
Okay, sir. So Well, thank you for calling. Can you first give your name and tell us a little bit how you're doing today?
My name is Denard Darnell Neal. I am 59 years old. I'm currently housed at United States Penitentiary, Florence, Colorado, and I'm just enjoying this podcast, hoping that something to come from it.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
in custody, in federal custody, charged with 3 counts of bank robbery, 3 counts of firearm, and false liens against government officials.
Yes, sir. So I read your bio. Goodness. It was heartbreaking. If you could, can you uh talk a little bit about this second hearing that you weren't even aware of?
Well, what happened was this. In 1991, January 14th, I was sentenced to 35 years incarceration. In 1994, I believe the Bureau of Prisons, working with the U.S. Probation Department, contacted the court and told the court that I did not receive a second 20-year sentence. The court took it upon itself to hold to hold a hearing and re-sentence me without me being notified, without me being present. This is a violation of due process and of the fact that I went to trial. I've been advocating my innocence ever since, and the court knew exactly where I was at because it states in the documents that I received from the clerk, which I believe was given to me accidentally or intentionally, but it states that they know where I'm at. They contacted all parties, the U.S. attorney, they contacted the probation department, they contacted the prison warden, but they did not contact me. They did not notify me. At this hearing in 1994, 4 years after I was sentenced, they gave me another 20-year sentence. So what happened is I didn't know about it, so I didn't contest it or object to it. Then in 1996, they re-amended the 20-year sentence that they gave me illegally. Now, I would like to call the attention to the fact that in 1990,
This call is from a federal prison.
in 1994, Congress amended the 924C statute, which is the use of a firearm in the commission of a crime statute. It's not a coincidence that the United States District Court re-sentenced me to a second 20-year sentence after Congress re-amended the statute in 1994. Again, in 1996, they re-amended the sentence again with the same 20-year sentence, but again, Congress amended the 924C statute in 1996. So it looks like, to me, what the court is doing is amending my sentence illegally on conditions that Congress is amending the 924C statute in the years that it's amending it. Every year that Congress amended the 924C statute, I mysteriously was given another 20-year sentence.
Wow.
I've never been given notice of it. And, you know, the court and me have been going back and forth because I've since found out that not only did the court do this, but this whole legal process was a sham process from the beginning because the United States attorney put bonds in my identity and sold the bonds to Pimco and Fidelity. And the bonds are being marketed on Wall Street right now. How can I get a fair hearing and due process when you have the judge, the clerk of court, and the United States attorney involved in a financial scheme to profit from my conviction before I'm convicted?
Wow.
There's no way you're going to give me due process. It's a conflict of interest that cannot be cured outside of expungement of the entire record and prosecution of the parties involved. Because why? To take somebody's identity and put negotiable instruments in their identity without their permission is illegal. It's called identity theft. They're prosecuting everybody for that, but they're not prosecuting themselves.
Yes, sir.
You know, so we have a court system that seems to be undercover trafficking in human traffic slavery. plain and simple. And what I can't understand is who prosecutes the top prosecutors of the nation? Who holds the Justice Department accountable? Because under the Constitution, the state is supposed to protect us from a tyrannical government. There has not been any protection rendered toward us. Every federal prisoner in the federal system is subject to these conditions in the courtroom. And this condition has serious ramifications because not only are we being held illegally or are we being trafficked on Wall Street, but you have an industrial system that has created jobs off this that now supports the isolated communities that deals with the prison, the employees that deal with the prison. You have created a system that has built an economy that if you start revealing this stuff, if you start exposing this stuff, it's going to collapse a lot of economies around the country. And to be honest with you, I feel for them, but the economies do not have a right to exist if it is existing off of human slavery. It does not have a right to exist. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not being racist. I'm just being honest. Blacks and Latinos are the majority in the Bureau of Prison, and it seems like we have been intentionally targeted by the
This call is from a federal prison.
through the U.S. Attorney's Office around the countries who's picking up crimes that normally the government would not involve itself in. Excuse me, Jasmine. I'll have to end this podcast for right now because they're locking us down. Why? I don't know. When we coming out, I don't know. But as soon as we come back out, I'm going to call you back.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day, ma'am.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yes, we was talking about why I wouldn't take an attorney.
Yes, sir.
And I was saying that the United States attorneys have a 98% win ratio in the federal courts. This is almost impossible in of the fact that defense counsels as well as people who become United States attorneys all go to the same colleges to learn law. So how is it that the defense attorneys are losing 98% of their cases nationwide and the U.S. attorneys are winning 98% of their cases nationwide? This is the worst loss of defense attorneys in the history of human beings. So why would I allow someone who has the worst record in the world to defend me? Second, it speaks of an open and ongoing conspiracy because there's no way you could go to the same law schools and one attorney be smarter than the other attorney and this intelligence difference be nationwide. There's no way.
You're telling me that I see it, sir. I see it.
Yeah, you telling me that all the U.S. attorneys around the nation are smarter than all the defense counsels around the nation. That's impossible. In order for the U.S. attorneys to get the win, there must be an open, ongoing conspiracy agreed upon by the U.S. attorneys as well as the defense counsel. So given that fact, there's no way I will allow a defense attorney to represent me. Second, and more important, the defense attorneys never challenge federal jurisdiction. The federal government does not have jurisdiction in 99.9% of the cases brought into federal court. They obtain jurisdiction because the attorneys for the defense go in there and stipulate to the court jurisdiction instead of challenging it and defeating it. So therefore, I would never allow a counsel to represent me because when you look at the word bar for bar association, I'm going to break it down to you. The word bar, B-A-R, it means British Accreditation Registry. Therefore, the defense counsel is a foreign agent. Any people that come in the courtroom saying that they're bar attorneys are foreign agents because the British Accreditation Registry is up under the throne of England. So we have foreign agents representing us. They do not have our best interests at heart, and this is why the U.S. attorneys have a 98% conviction rate. The third reason why I won't let a defense counsel represent me is this. When the U.S. attorney as well as defense counsels come in the courtroom, they become officers of the court. United States attorneys are the ones who initiate the charges against any suspect or so-called defendant. Now, if the United States attorneys representing the Justice Department bring the charges under executive powers under Article 2, when they come into the courtroom, they become an officer of the court, so therefore they're crossing over from Article 2 to Article 3 because the court is under Article 3 under constitutional jurisdiction. You have a violation of separation of power there. Because the court are trying to say, well, we're neutral and arbitrary. How is you neutral and arbitrary when the defense counsel and the U.S. attorney now become officers of the court in which you are the head charge supervisor of the court, the judge and the clerk of court. You are the ones in charge of the court. So if the U.S. attorney become an officer of the court, which they do, the defense counsel become an officer of the court, which they do, there is no way we're being represented by anyone in that courtroom. It's an inherent conflict of interest that cannot be defeated unless the case is totally expunged. This is another reason why I won't take a counsel, because they're not representing me. They're there to make sure that the court interest is protected, not my interest.
And sir, what do you say to individuals that believe that you won't get a fair shake, regardless if you represent yourself, because no judge is gonna want to let, or even not necessarily just the judge, but the U.S. attorneys, they're not gonna want to let the defendant win. They're not going to let someone with no education in the law, no formal education in the law, beat them. What do you say to that?
Well, the thing I say to that is this. There is various remedies that can be used against the U.S. attorney. You know what I'm saying? There's various remedies you could be used against them. One, there can be an activation of the military to arrest the U.S. attorney for high treason and kidnap and assault. Because if you do not have jurisdiction to arrest me, and you authorize my arrest knowing that you don't have jurisdiction, you have participated in kidnap, which is under 18 U.S.
This call is from a federal prison.
You have participated in kidnap, which is under 18 U.S.C. 1201, their own statute. The military can step in and do something as far as arresting the U.S. attorney. Usually, when you take it to the Justice Department Office of the Special Prosecutor, they will make them either back up or expunge the case. Second, you can authorize the state's Attorney General on your behalf as a state citizen to arrest the U.S. attorney for kidnapping. You know what I'm saying? So the issue becomes complex in of the fact that those who wish to represent themselves in the courtroom must know available remedies that are available to them. If they do not, then they will 9 times out of 10 lose the case. Not because they're not diligent, but it's because the United States has compiled a complex law system where they're designed the system to work only through U.S. attorneys and attorneys, bar-associated attorneys. They do not want us, pro se litigants, in that courtroom. But under the Constitution, all federal courts, all state courts belong to the people. So they can't prohibit us from coming in the courtroom because we're not a bar attorney. They can't prohibit that. But what they can do is, and what they do is erect obstacles to try to prevent you from winning. This is why it's very important that I say to all black men and black women, and particularly black men, we have in every city the necessary buildings we need to exercise our rights and protect our rights. It's called a public library. You don't have to go to college no more to learn things. You can go right in the public library. You know what I'm saying? Black men have to step up, become intelligent, get out them streets, and exercise due diligence, because as leaders of our community, they are falling short. This is why our women and our children are in danger. They are falling short. It's not an accident that the same thing that the Black Panthers was talking about, brutality from law enforcement, is still going on. But the only difference now, between then and now is it's being recorded through technology with the camera phones. But it's still ongoing. See what I'm saying? So this is not an accident. Anytime, when I was in the military, Miss Moore, I was taught what is death squads in foreign nations and whatnot. Anytime law enforcement shoots a person down in the back, regardless of his race, anytime you shoot somebody in the back and kill them, and the authorities that are in power refuse to prosecute them, that is death squad action. In of the fact, death squads in foreign nations are protected by the authorities that sit in power. That's what compile death squads. So you could call them law enforcement, whatever. It needs to be told that law enforcement, the word...
This call is from a federal prison.
The word police came from slavery. It was an organized group of men that when slaves ran away, they would hire themselves out to the plantation owner to chase down and either kill or return the slave back to the plantation. Once they organized, they took on the name police.
Yes, sir.
So this is no coincidence that these same fraternities are still killing us. You see what I'm saying? Black men must become smarter, and they have made the tools to become smarter available. I've been in custody for 30 years for crimes. One, they know I didn't commit. For two, they did everything illegal to put me in custody, all because they have devised a money-making scheme where they are now taking our identities and selling them on Wall Street. Plain and simple. It's slavery all over again, 2022. It has never ended. What they have done was they have disguised it and tried to make it legal and put it under the color of law by saying criminal justice prosecution. It's not criminal justice. Because when I went to the court in 2012, Fresno, California, I asked the United States Attorney and the court, who is the injured party? They could not tell me who the injured party is. United States, the judge tried to say that the United States is an injured party. Okay, if the United States is an injured party, bring forth the person named United States. There is no human being named United States. So how can a fictitious entity accuse a human being of committing a crime? This is impossible.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
But yet, they'll try to tell the world and the public, oh, we're giving them due process of law, we're giving them equal protection of the law, we're giving them their chance to assert a defense. How can a person who has no resources, assert a defense against the United States government who has all the resources? By the way, said resources are took from the people. Because if you look at the United States government, where is its seat? Its seat is in Washington, D.C. There is no gold mine there. There's no copper mine there. There's no silver there. There's no fresh water. There's no coal. There's no steel. So where's the United States government getting its resources from? It's getting it from the several independent states, the people. So now taking our resources and using them to prosecute us and denying us access to our resources to assert a defense. And yet they'll tell the world, oh, he was given due process of law. This is a farce. This is an illusion. And this is a human rights violation. And what I would advocate to black men in particular, as leaders of our community, wake up. Do not become a victim of a system that you have been indoctrinated into to believe in.
Sir, you mentioned that you were in the military. Where'd you serve? You in the Army or what?
I was in the Army. I deployed to North Korea. And that's what my tour ended.
Wow. Okay, I was in the Army as well, sir, and I served. I deployed to Afghanistan for this country as well. I'm just surprised.
Well,
Go ahead.
Glad that you served, and I'm really glad that you was not injured, and I'm happy that you came back alive. You know, I believe the Afghanistan war was a farce. because I refuse to believe that terrorists in a side of a cave outsmarted the world's most smartest government, United States. I refuse to believe that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that was difficult. But I was wondering, how do you feel like now you're serving time in prison after you served this country honorably?
Miss Moore, the phone's finna shut off. I can wait 15 minutes and make a second call to you.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So it's finna shut off. I'm gonna wait 15 minutes and make a second call to you.
Okay, bye.
And we'll continue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
There's problems within this government. I still, in a certain form, support the government. I do not advocate the abolishment of the United States government. What I do advocate is major changes to the government. Major changes to the government. Term limits on congressmen, term limits on senators, term limits on Supreme Court justices, another committee outside of the Congress and the Senate to not only investigate but prosecute criminal acts done by the Justice Department, because as of yet the states have not stepped up and started criminal prosecuting of government officials acting tyrannically in the states, abusing their authority, abusing citizens. So there is major changes I would like to see to the United States government, but I do not advocate the abolishment or overthrow of the United States government. What I do say is this, to all the people that may hear this, why not go to President Biden right now and ask President Biden to show all veterans in federal custody clemency? When do we get forgiven? When? When is it okay to forgive veterans who have went and served this country, who made mistakes, came to prison? When do we get forgiveness? There seems to be nobody advocating that, look, y'all got a certain amount of veterans in the federal system. Show them forgiveness. Give them a chance to restart life. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Nobody seems to be advocating that, you know? And that needs to be advocated while Biden is in office right now. People need to step up and say, look, we got veterans in the federal prison system. Give them clemency.
Right.
Let them out. Give them a chance to restart their life. They made mistakes. They went to prison. When do the punishment end for our veterans? You know?
Yeah. And that's tough because, I mean, they're not even helping us properly on the outside either, you know? Like, we need a lot of advocacy for veterans overall. It's really sad.
Well, Miss Moore, I got a problem with the situation where Nancy Pelosi is worth $250 million and veterans don't have $1 million.
Yes, sir.
People who went and served and lost their body parts, legs, arms, how they got nothing, and someone who's never been in the military, never went and served, never been injured, has $250 million. You the leader of Congress. I got a problem with that. You can't even get these veterans a home, but yet you got $250 million. You the leader of Congress. What's wrong with this picture?
Yes, sir.
There's something wrong with this picture. How's veterans sleeping on the street anywhere in America? They're supposed to be the ones giving free housing, free food, free medical, free transportation. They're supposed to be the ones. They've earned it in war.
Yes.
Their families have earned it. You know? So I have a problem, and like I said, that would be some of the changes I would advocate.
Sir.
That veterans be given more respect.
Yes, sir. And I agree with you on that. And you just touched on families.
This call is from a federal prison.
Families deserve it. I was just wondering, can you touch a little bit on your family? How has your prison sentence affected your family and everything that you've gone through? How has this affected them?
Well, I just recently got back in contact with my sisters and brothers. I hadn't been in contact with them for over maybe 12 years. And I'm not going to sit back and make it look like this was something normal because I grew up in a close-knit family. Very knit. Well, Friday night, Saturday nights, we would sit in the living room and play pile-up on each other with my mom and whatnot. So the whole thing is I grew up in a close-knit family. And my mom has made the comment that my incarceration has broke our family into pieces. And she has a point there because I've always been what is known as the family anchor. I've always been that. You know what I'm saying? And with me being gone, there's been no cohesive collectiveness. So the whole thing that she's saying is because you're gone, they're not doing what they're supposed to do, loving each other the way they're supposed to love each other. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of bickering going on in the family, and the family is moving all over the country, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, California, Texas, Atlanta, Phoenix, Chicago. We got family all over. You know what I'm saying? So this incarceration has literally destroyed my family. It has literally destroyed my family.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. I understand exactly where you're coming from as far as you being that person that holds the family together. I feel like the same thing with my dad serving his sentence. He brought joy to everybody and brought everybody together. So I can see that. So, sir, right now, what do you have pending in the courts? Are you working on compassionate release to try to get out and be with your family?
Well, my compassionate release hasn't been filed yet because I had issues come before it that I needed to complete, and they keep locking the prison down. So I'm just about ready to complete my compassionate release and submit it. But I have a writ of habeas corpus pending in the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals dealing with my release. I just submitted a Rule 27 to one of the courts that sentenced me in Phoenix, which I was telling you about, how they gave me the illegal 20-year sentence 4 years after I had been sentenced. So I have a couple of things pending in court that I'm waiting on responses from. So, and once the responses come, then I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that I'm going to be released because I have orthodox arguments dealing with my case, but the orthodox arguments have very sufficient merit. Yes, they're orthodox in the way they're presented and the issues that's presented. But they have very sufficient merit because, one, no one has ever challenged it the way I've challenged it. Two, the circumstances involving the orthodox arguments have not been presented to the average federal prisoner. And three, even if it has been, the average federal prisoner has not took it upon themselves to challenge it and get it in court.
Yes, sir.
So I'm confident.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, when you get home, what are you gonna do? What's your plans? What's in Mr. Neal's head to do to get home?
Well, when I get home, my first plan is to reunite my family because the family is the backbone of any community. Reunite my family. And of that, I would like to start working with youngsters. I may leave the country for a little while just to relax and get some frustration out my system. And I may go study in Tibet with the monks for a year and then return and work with these youngsters and bring understanding and clarity to the problems that they're facing, because we got too much going on and not enough attention. One of the things that I'm saying is I've looked at this situation in Texas. How is Americans giving award shows and we got 19 babies dead? Where is the cause to celebrate?
Right.
We got 19 babies dead. They had no damn reason to die. Why is the American elite celebrate on any award show? That can be
This call is from a federal prison.
That show can be postponed and rescheduled. We've seen that during the COVID. So if you can reschedule for a disease, a virus, why you can't reschedule for the babies? See what I'm saying? More people should have attended them funerals. Not only them funerals in Texas, but the funerals in Buffalo as well.
Yes, sir.
People supposed to come out and support them families because even though you do not know them, what happened to them can happen to you. There's a saying that my mother told me. If you sit back and watch somebody burn down somebody's house, what's to stop them from coming back tomorrow and burning your house down?
Yes.
See what I'm saying? So we have to come together collectively as a nation and say, look, we can put these award shows off. Let's go bury these babies with respect and dignity. Because they didn't die with respect and dignity.
Feel like we're losing a little bit of humanity, you know? Like, no.
Well, you know, I'm a realist. And being a realist, I look at reality. And reality is America was founded on murder, rape, kidnap, and theft. So what do murderers do? They kill. What do rapists do? They rape. What do kidnappers do? They kidnap people. What do thieves do? They steal. So until we reverse them morals, until we reverse them principles, this is what we're going to see. Guns is not the problem. We have a society that is full of people that are maniacs, plain and simple. There's no other way to look at it. Miss Moore, I grew up in the gangs in Chicago. I never went up to school, and I never knew anybody my age that went up to school and wanted to kill the whole damn school. That's not feasible. That's not even intelligent, rational thinking. I went up to school as a gangbanger, and I would fight other guys that was in other gangs. We would fight. We wouldn't shoot up the school. We knew everybody in that school that was not a gangbanger are innocents. Therefore, you do not hurt them.
Yes,
you see what I'm saying? So this concept of going shooting up schools, this is not rational. This is not acceptable. This is not intelligent. You know, I mean, like I say, I grew up in that lifestyle. But I never woke up not one time and said, man, I'm going to go up to school and kill everybody. That's crazy.
Yeah.
There was people up in school, teachers included, that I severely loved. I thought was my family. I love them people. Why would I go up to school and want to kill them? And I don't understand why anybody would sit back and watch. Because when I first seen the situation in Texas, what came to my mind was one word: cowards. Mm-hmm. When I'm talking about the law enforcement that was in that hallway.
They didn't go get them.
Because it was 19 law enforcement there. Somebody supposed to come up with the concept, hey, 5 of y'all go outside and lay down suppressing fire through the window. The rest of us going to rush this door. Even if the door is locked, shoot the lock off. Right. You know what I'm saying? This was an act of cowardness in the most blatant way. In the most blatant way.
Well, sir, I know you about to run out on time here on me, but I wanted to just say, like, I just want to ask you this. What, and you kind of touched on it, but what do you feel like, who do you feel like you are when you first got locked up versus now? Who is Mr. Neal?
When I first got locked up, I was more rebellious toward society as a whole. And that has changed in of the fact that being in prison, it compels you to do two things. Either stay stupid or wake up and realize that I've had faults that put me in here. So I chose to wake up and realize I have faults that put me in here. My faults that put me in here are not in existence. They're not in existence anymore. I have corrected them. The Mr. Neal of today is more responsible, more intelligent, more forgiving, more understanding, more compassionate, more loving, and more outgoing towards helping people that I don't know. Because I don't know you don't mean I won't come and help you.
Yes, sir.
See what I'm saying? And as a man, I feel it is my job to try to correct this nation and this world as a whole. Wow. I can't do it all, but I can do what I can do.
Yes, sir. Well, sir, you know, I appreciate you jumping on this call with me and just doing this interview with me. And if you ever want to come back and talk some more, please feel free.
Let me know. Let me know when you need me, and I'm available because You're like family.
Thank you, sir.
You have a good day, and God bless you and your children.